Happy 100th episode. We're back. I'm Dave Donaldson. Welcome back to Grip Tips. Today we're talking about the Aputure Infinibars. Before we jump into it, just want to say that you might want to stick around all the way to the end because I'm going to be talking about what Grip Tips is going to be doing in the future. So Aputure sent me their Infinibars, and specifically the 2-foot version. They come in a nice zip-up case, and the light itself comes in a nice semi-hard fabric tray, and in the bottom of the case we have our AC power adapter, a baby pin with a new type of Infinibar clamping system for mounting our light. We also get a 5mm semi-steel Allen wrench, the IEC cable. Pretty sure we all know how I feel about this given my Quasar Double Rainbow episode. Then we get this Infinibar straight connector, which helps connect multiple Infinibars together. And while you can use a speed wrench on these, unfortunately the drive on the connectors is 5mm, so you do risk stripping the drive if you are using a 3/16 standard speed wrench. Holding the Infinibar for the first time, you'll notice a diffused front and a metal housing. These also come with super strong magnets, 2 on the sides that can be positioned wherever needed, and then 2 more below those magnets that are attached to the light itself, keeping the sliding magnets from slipping off /storage. So moving on, we can mount multiple Infinibars together given the straight connector in any 90-degree orientation that we like. The connector just simply presses on, and then from here you can tighten down all the screws. One thing to note about this is that the magnets make it kind of difficult if you are using a wrench, as your wrench will suck straight into the magnetic field, and I suggest pushing the sliding magnets away when mounting just for less magnetic pull. There will still be some pull given the magnets underneath, but not nearly as bad as the ones that are on the track system. But once everything is attached, what I've basically built here is a double-wide pixel-controlled light, much like the Quasar Double Rainbows. Now, I purposely oriented these in different directions on purpose, but we'll talk about how to control that in a minute. Let's talk about mounting for a second. This knurled baby pin that comes with the Infinibar goes on super quickly, as when you tighten down the clamp just opens up, grabbing the Infinibar, making it super simple to slide the baby pin up and down the bar for positioning. Now, another cool thing that they've done is they've made a wide variety of brackets to orient the bars however you need to, introducing the world's first fidget spinner for adults, making it possible to have some sort of spinning gag that mounts directly to the lights. This one is the 4-way spinner, but they also sell a 3- and a 6-way spinner as well. Now, in addition to that, they also have mounting brackets to help form different shapes, such as this 3-way 3D bracket system, which also comes with these drilled and tapped holes in each piece for attaching the included eye bolts. So if you've learned your knots, which I hope you have, you could say hang this light from the ceiling and create a really cool 3D spinning gag. Now, something about charging these lights I just wanted to mention real quickly is that you actually have 3 different ports to charge these lights on, which I think is really, really cool. In addition to that, if you have a bunch of them hooked up with those different types of connectors, whether that's the straight connector, the spinning gag, or even the 3-way connector, you can actually plug just one of the lights in and it'll charge all the lights that are attached to that light, which I think is super, super cool. But I was speaking to Aputure about that, and they said somewhere in the near future they're actually going to have cables that will actually help charge them faster with only one cable, which is great because this is no longer like trying to plug in all MCs to charge them. Some of you probably remember that before they came out with their giant charging case. But in this case, you have the brackets. All you have to do is slap them together and plug one in and it'll charge all of them. And I love that so much. Now, I'm not going to really dive into the UI because if you own any of these other RGB, WW tube lights or the MCs, the menu is pretty much the exact same, and even if you've never messed with their UIs before, it's pretty straightforward. Something to really note about these lights is that when you're actually mounting them, orientation is pretty important, but just let's say hypothetically, you've already mounted your lights up and then you found out that one of the lights is going completely opposite direction than all the other lights. There's a super simple solution for that within Sidus Link. First, double check that all your Infinibars are updated with the latest firmware. You can do that by setting up your Infinibars inside of Sidus the same way that you would with any of their other lights. You'll know right away by looking at Sidus, as Sidus won't show the new Magic Infinity program they now have available. So now in order to get that menu unlocked, we'll update our Infinibars by hitting the Batch Upgrade button. Sidus will look to see which Infinibars need upgrading, which in this case is all, and it'll take about 3 to 5 minutes per light. But after all of them have been upgraded, the new Magic Infinity program will appear at the bottom of the screen. Tapping into that, you get a brief introduction to Magic Infinity, select the shape that you are trying to build, then you will tell it the configuration of the shape as far as how long your bars are. In my case, I have the 2-foot versions, so I'll click that. Then from there, I need to tell Sidus where the bars are, and I can do that by hitting the SOS pattern on the app. The light will then start to flash to let me know where it is. In this case, it's my top top light, so I'll hit 7 and the bar will then be placed correctly within the app. Then just rinse and repeat until all of the lights are basically displaying the exact same pattern as Citus. Citus will also ask you to confirm the direction in which these lights are displaying, where you will go through each light and match what's happening in Citus. As you'll notice in my display, 2 lights are correctly matching Citus and 2 are completely off. All we have to do is tap the bar on Citus that is not moving in the direction Citus is displaying, and it will flip the orientation of the light. Once everything matches what Citus is displaying, hit the button, perfect, done. After some brief initialization, we now can start playing with some of the effects that are available to us, whether that be the rainbow effect, integral control, or pixel move. Lastly, I took some measurements at about a meter away with TM30, and I got a 94 in fidelity and a 103 in saturation, and then for the output, I got 200 lux at 5600K at 100%. Now, one more thing that I want to show you guys is actually something that I'm taking out of Tim King's book over at Quasar. He actually has a video out there on this, but you can actually turn your linear light sources into key lights. I don't see this done a whole lot, but I think that's because most people see a linear light source like a tube or this Infinibar, and they go, well, that's going to be an accent light. And that actually couldn't be further from the truth. Check this out. Depending on how you have your light oriented on a stand, it will work as a point source or a panel source, and literally just by twisting the linear light source from vertical to horizontal. Pay attention to the shadows. As I move from vertical to horizontal, you can see that things go from really contrasty shadows to more softer wrap. This tip is an amazing time saver if you're just trying to get some, wraparound soft light to your subject or darker contrast to the face without breaking out more stands, diffusion, etc. So what are my overall thoughts about the Aputure Infinibars? They're amazing. They're just amazing. Some things that I wish would have been thought of, obviously the IEC cable, we know how I feel about that, but another thing that kind of bothered me was the fact that they used 5mm drive screws for mounting all the lights together. I asked them about this and they said because internationally they use metric, and yes, the United States is like the only place that is using imperial. Now, while I do have grip friends that bring, a couple sets of Allen keys with them, they usually just leave them in their backpack back at the carts. The number one wrench that they're carrying with them all the time around on set is a speed wrench. It's always on them. So it's something that I'm kind of pointing at every manufacturer again kind of thing. I know that I've done that in the last couple of episodes, but I'm saying, look, we don't want to carry more tools than we have to. So just kind of my opinion on that. But other than that, no, the light is awesome. The magnets are super strong. Being able to just set up a spinning gag like that in a matter of minutes without breaking out a whole bunch of speed rail and etc. I do wish there was a way to flip the spinning gags as they come, but because I'm thinking to myself with the spinning gags that I've seen, usually you bring out a combo and you have like this helicopter effect, but the light needs to point down, where this is a baby pin pointing outward. So I basically would have to make some sort of goalpost rig to rig that above something to spin with the lights oriented facing down. Yeah, so episode 100. I don't even know what to do. I did have some ideas and some stuff that I wanted to make this episode really special. Unfortunately, sometimes things just don't line up and I couldn't do those things, but that's okay. First of all, I want to say thanks to everybody who's kind of seen me go from like my first episode to now. And also, let's be honest, my 100th episode should have happened years ago, but life kind of got in the way. But let's talk about what we're going to do going forward. Some of you may be a little heartbroken to hear this, or not, but I'm going to take a break on doing light tutorials and reviews, mainly because there's a lot of stuff that I've learned in the last couple of years. I thought I knew quite a bit when I lived in Detroit. I really did. Then I moved out here and I was like, oh, I don't know. So what I'm going to do is start going back to some of the basics, starting with episode 101. We are going to go to quite literally 101. We're going to go back and start looking at things that I've just never shown on the show before, like overheads. I mean, I knew what overheads were in Detroit. I just didn't have the resources to do one. But then we're also going to be talking about multi-line, pro burgers, cheese burrows, car rigging, scaffold, truss. A whole slew of different grip tips is about to happen, and we're going to kind of disconnect from the lights a little bit. We'll still talk about electric a little bit, but only when it comes to things that are a little bit more industry standard, like distro, which has been done for like decades. Like that's just, information I wanted to put out there. Plus, I still need to learn a little bit of that stuff too. It also kind of sucks too, because Astera literally just today emailed me and I was like, oh no. Now, will I never review or do tutorials on lights again? No. That I will definitely come back to that. But that's just going to be kind of on the back burner for a while. But sadly, that is all that I have for you guys today. If you like today's episode, please let me know in the comment section below. You can also follow me on Twitter, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I'll see you on the next one.